Folks in cyberspace, welcome to Focus on Liberia. Again, folks in cyberspace, at this time, we want to welcome you to Focus on Liberia. We are having a special at this hour, and we talk about the gas shortage in Liberia and its ripple effects on the people of Liberia. We have been monitoring the gas shortage. Situation in Liberia has reached crisis proportion, and we thought to give you the opportunity to hear from us as one of the major platforms on social media. We can't let this story pass by without talking about it, and so we tried to set aside an hour to go into the gasoline shortage in Monrovia or Liberia and its ripple effects on our people. And so it was sometime last week, fellow Liberians, that the issue of gasoline shortage was reported. And the explanation from our government was there was this calculation problem. There was a miscalculation. We listened to the Minister of Commerce, Winston Tapper, that the numbers that were shown was that the numbers showed that they had a significant amount of product in their reserve, just to realize that those numbers were wrong. And that was what was responsible for the shortage in the country of petroleum products. But the thing can be more than confusing to anybody, because as we know, if the numbers, according to him, suggest otherwise, meaning that the numbers were telling them that they have significant product in their reserve. So in the case of any shortage, they will go to the reserve and continue to supply our people while they try to bring in new products. So he said, when they first take a look at the numbers to know what quantity of gasoline product that they had in the reserve, the numbers show that they have significant amount of product in there that will allow them more than 2 weeks to be able to bring in more product and be able to avoid the crisis as it is now in the country. But what we see, it is more like it might be far from the truth. It might be far from the truth because according to Mr. Tappet, also they were going to bring significant amount of product to cover for the shortage that the number have shown to them in less than days. He said he didn't call a specific number of days, but he said it should be in the amount of days that they were going to bring some product into the country to ease the gasoline shortage in the country. And as a matter of fact, he said next week, meaning this week, today is Tuesday now, and reports that we've been monitoring in the country suggest otherwise. There has not been any significant amount of product being made available to suppliers, talking about the gas stations. So the long lines continue in Monrovia, and I can only imagine how it might be in other counties. So this is a serious crisis that we have on our hands. Today, we learned through social media that citizens in their anger are now trying to target some officials of government, as a means of visiting out their anger, because there are some gas stations that more than supply only government people or government officials, whereas citizens and business people are sleeping in long lines at gas stations when they can't even get gasoline. And one incident is the case with the Chief Justice. The Chief Justice was able to show up at one of the gas stations in Monrovia, and in no time, from what the video we watched, he was able to get a petrol product or gasoline, and he left. And so the citizens were baffled that while they have been there, waiting for so long, an official of government showed up and he was served with gasoline, and he was able to walk away and driving his car when thousands and thousands of Liberians, who many of whom either they are in business, those that using keke. Some people who are running taxi cab, they can't get gasoline to transport our people. Many people are walking by land, so this is a serious crisis that we have on our hands, and we can only hope that our officials will be able to tell the truth. From what we see, it seems to be that they're not telling the truth. Now, we also learn that one of the problems that is, serving as a catalyst to this continuing crisis is the problem at the free port of Monrovia. The management reports say had not dragged the free port for a long period of time. So vessels that can carry huge quantity of petroleum products cannot dock at the pier because the pier now is completely shallow. So those bigger vessels cannot make their way in. And we understand that there is a dredging that has resumed, and that the dredging need to be completed because before any of these bigger vessels that can carry huge quantity of petroleum products can be allowed to dock at the pier of Monrovia. So the problem is more than compounded. And one can only imagine what the ripple effects are. And you heard me earlier, there are citizens that are sleeping at gas stations. They can't get gasolines. You have taxi cab landlords, in long lines, people with containers in their hand, gallons in their hand at petrol station or gas stations. They can't get gasoline for days. Reports are that some people are even sleeping at some of those gas stations, and yet they cannot get petroleum products. So this is a serious problem that we have on our hands. Now, let's come to the issue of the ripple effects. We know that petroleum or gasoline is what we rely on for the moving of most vehicles that carry goods and services to all parts of the country. If you are a businessman, for example, in Grand Gila, and you buy your goods from Monrovia, of course, you need to transport it, and the car you're going to use, that car needs to have gasoline to be able to take your goods to Grand Gila County. But because there's no gasoline now, I read an article on front page about this businessman in Grand Gila whose store is completely empty, and he has not been able to refill his store with products that people are waiting for to buy, or because there's no gasoline, and so transportation is a problem. And people who are supposed to be able to transport the goods to Grand Gila and other parts of the country, it has been difficult to do so. And as a result of that, movement has become a problem. Some people are now stuck at home, they can't go anywhere. But if you have to go to a place that is that far and you rely only on a transportation vehicle like maybe keke or a taxi cab, there's no way you can go because the taxi cab or the taxi driver cannot even get gasoline to put the car on the road. So you are stuck at home. So if you are somebody who rely on a day-to-day hustle in order for you to feed your family, I think you can imagine that this person would not be able to feed his her family. Now, think about it. Things were already tough in the country economically. People were even finding it difficult to be able to put food on the table for their family. Finding transportation to go out on a daily basis was a challenge for most people because the transportation fare has since increased as a result of the increase in the price of the petroleum products. That is way before the shortage that we're talking about could come to pass. And so people were already finding it difficult to move around. And now you have this kind of crisis on your hands. I think we can all agree that the problem has compounded. So talking about the ripple effects of the gasoline crisis in Monrovia, let's talk about where were prices then in the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf administration, and then when President Weah took over, we want to know the change that occurred in terms of some basic commodity prices in the country. We know that during Ellen time, we try to do a comparative analysis so that you can get a unique picture of the ripple effects that our people are feeling now, which has increased sometimes. I mean, I want to say some of these things, the ripple effects are almost like triple. So let's look at them quickly so that you can get a unique sense of what we're talking about. During Ellen administration, that was prior to President Weah taking office, a bag of 25 kg rice was about $2,000. I repeat, during Ellen's administration, a 25 kilo bag of rice was about 2,000 Liberian dollars. Now, when President Weah took over, as you are aware, the economic challenges that the country has been having continue to, I can say, double. And as a result, prices continue to skyrocket. And so at some point during President Weah administration now, a price or the price for the bag of 25 kg rice went up to 3,600. Can you imagine that? So under Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, the price of the 25 kg bag of rice was 2,000. When President Weah took over, at some point, the news of the 16 billion and also the exchange rate started to go up. And usually when the exchange rate is going up because people use the US dollars to buy their goods, and the fact that the price or the exchange rate in getting the US dollar now has gone up, it also leads to the increase in the price of all of the things that people use US dollar to buy and import into the country. And one thing one of my friends told me that always lead to the increase in the price of any commodity is the cost of transportation. Because if I was spending $10 to transport a bag of salt from Grand Gila to Monrovia, and the transportation cost has increased by $10, maybe I will have to add $5 on the price of that particular commodity, thereby leading to an increase in the price of that commodity. So you can now understand that this is the reason why prices went up also. It's not only because of the exchange rate. The exchange rates going up led to an increase in the cost of transportation. Because when somebody is buying the US at a higher rate and the person went to buy their goods, when they return, in order to cover for what is a potential loss in order to make profit, that person will have to increase the price of the commodity, and that is the exchange rate. Now then you come to transporting that particular commodity. So you have two variables leading to an increase in the price of that particular commodity. Now, I'm telling you about what became a reality between Ellen Johnson Sirleaf administration and the administration of President George Manuel Weah. So that was sometime around the middle part of 2018. The price for the 25 kg bag of rice jumped from $2,000 to 3,600 Liberian dollars. And now, at that time, a gallon of gasoline under President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf was $350. And then when President Weah took over, the gallon of gasoline, the price for the gallon of gasoline went up to $750. It was even reported in areas, counties like the counties in the southeast, like Maryland, Grand Gila. At the time, it was $750 for the gallon of gasoline in Monrovia. It was around $800, $900, sometimes $1,000 in the southeast. And the reason for that was people have to transport that particular product to those counties that are farther away from Monrovia County. And because they pay transportation to move the product, to move the gasoline or any other product for that matter, but in this case, gasoline, they had to increase the price of it. So that was also leading to an increase in the prices of other commodities that needed to be moved into the counties. So let's come to the point I was making earlier. So under Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, Before she could leave power, it was $350 for a gallon of gasoline. One president. We had took over because of the economy continuing to experience challenges, looking at the exchange rates, the exchange rates also, leading to increase in petroleum product or gasoline. And because people have to now spend more to transport their things, people have to spend more to get a US dollar. That also led to the increase of almost everything in the country. So the price of gasoline went to $750. That was way before this gasoline shortage that is compounding problem right now. And so I'm sure you want to know how much is the cost for 1 gallon of gasoline right now as a result of this shortage that we are having. The cost for 1 gallon of gasoline as a result of this shortage that we are experiencing in the country is $1,850. Somebody will tell me that has tripled. So imagine, for you to understand it, let's look at it this way. You were like paying double for the price of gasoline sometime in Weah's administration. And so the economic realities worsened. It became difficult for people to even find food for their people. People moving from here and there became difficult because the transportation fare has increased. And now you have a situation where it has moved from double to triple. So you see the picture. So the crisis we have on our hands, it is serious, it is grave, and the ripple effects are enormous. Now, let's look at another commodity to give you a much better picture. A bag of cement during Ellen's time was about $1,000. Then sometime in Weah administration, it jumped to $2,600. That's a double right there. Now, that was when gasoline price was $350. And now, at some point, gasoline price moved to $750. And because of that, the price of a bag of cement that was $1,000 on Ellen jumped to $2,600 because the price of the gasoline, or a gallon of gasoline, had doubled. Now that it has tripled, can you imagine how it will continue to lead to an increase in the price of that particular commodity? Now, when there are economic conditions that we have, or as we have on our hands, people tend to find food. So let's focus our analysis on the ripple effects on food. I told you about rice. So if a bag of rice, I'm talking about 25 kg, was $2,000 on Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, at the time the price for a gallon of gasoline was $350. And because the price of a gallon of gas has doubled under President Weah to $750, and then the 25 kg bag of rice that was $2,000 now has jumped to $3,600. And now that the price of gasoline has tripled, can you tell me how much will be for a bag of 25 kg rice? And I am not talking about a 100-pound bag of rice. No, I'm telling you about 25K. So this is serious. It is not only the fact that people have to struggle. People have to sleep in the streets, at gas stations, with gallons and containers in their hands. People have to be stuck in their taxis. People have to be stuck in their keke. People have to be stuck on their pimping, their motorbike, struggling to get gasoline. Some of them have money, but they can't get the product. Imagine what people are going through. Think about a father leaving the house who probably is a keke driver, hoping that he would get 2 gallons so as to do some runs on a business day and then decide to go back home maybe to get a few cups of red for the family to eat. Now you have this driver stuck at a gas station has been reported for days. You can imagine how that man has left his family vulnerable. That is a serious problem. Very serious problem. And this is one of these moments that a leader needs to come to the plate and make a decision. How did it start? Who's responsible? In my opinion, of all the mistakes that this government have made, just like any other government will make mistakes, this is the most consequential mistake. This mistake is so grave that the ripple effects on our people continue to strangulate them. Liberians were already strangulating economically because the price of gasoline was around $750. And because of that price, transportation fare had doubled then. And now that the price for a gallon of gasoline has tripled, if a taxi driver gets a gallon of gas and decides to run his taxi to do business, he decides the price from Old Road to Morovia. And a citizen will have no other option other than to pay that price if that citizen has that money, or to not go to work, or to not go to hustle. And it's been 2 weeks now. This is the second week. The problem continues. There has not been any action taken from our leaders. In a situation as grave as this one would think that the legislature will invite the port manager and the managing director of LPRC to explain why we are having this problem on our hands. Why does it always have to be us? Surely next door is not experiencing this kind of crisis. Africa is not experiencing this kind of crisis. Africa is not argument in the first place. Africa has way more people than we do in Liberia. Africa consume more gasoline than we do in Liberia. And yet they don't have any kind of crisis like that on their hands. We do. Are we trying to suggest that they are more intelligent than us? And today, it was more like a normal day. There was Armed Forces Day. I saw people smiling. Why do we continue to normalize any problem that tend to have not only economic risks to us, but also national security risks to us? Why do we normalize that as Liberians? Why? Why we do that? So the gasoline issue in Morovia is serious. I heard people saying this is one of the things that you will expect the president to fire somebody, because you see your citizens are stranded in the streets, some sleeping there for days. They can't get gasoline. And so because they're not able to do business, the business that they depend on to survive, to feed their family, they can't because there's no gasoline. And the people who are responsible for this terrible mistake, the consequential mistake, this mistake is so grave that it is denying government of significant revenue. This is a government that already have been experiencing one budget shortfall after the other. One budget shortfall after the other. This is a government that have had problem or has been having problem with generating significant revenue to fund its activities. And gasoline, which is one of the major, it is one of the major sources. It is one of the major sources of economic activities. And then with this kind of poor management, and as a result of this, government is losing significant revenue, and the people who are responsible, and no one is there to hold them accountable for that kind of serious mistake. This is the greatest mistake of all time since the government took over. Because gasoline is significant economic product that almost like connects everything. If you're selling rice, you have to move that rice from one place to another. Even the person who is selling billabong, maybe that person grows the billabong in Kidman. That person has to transport the billabong to Monrovia. You need a car to transport it. That car will not be able to transport it when there is no gasoline. If you are an employer and you provide services in a country, or you are a business, you provide services in a country, and you rely on gasoline to power your generator, to carry on your business, now you don't have that product. And so business is completely over for you. This is something that you think a president or any other leader in a country will want to add on by showing the right judgment and also showing the indignation. Indignation is, getting angry for the right reason. But we don't have that. So Liberians that are stranded in the streets, they are left alone. Their leaders are scrambling here and there, trying to find solutions, giving different versions of explanation as to why we have a shortage in the country. And the leader of the country is yet to address. I know somebody will say, oh, everything has to be the president. So if everything does not have to involve the president, then the people who are responsible for this should be able to speak to the Liberian people. Because the explanation that Western Taipei gave is not enough. It only attempt to provide more confusion than answers. And so somebody has to show leadership. If the Senate can't show leadership, this is the second week now. The Chief Justice was in line trying to get gasoline. So who does it have to be now? The government responsibility is to serve its people. Is this how you serve your people? Crisis can happen, don't get me wrong. But when a crisis comes about, leaders need to rise to the challenge and show leadership and hold people accountable. Because when you do, the people will understand that the leader or the leaders are aware and not insensitive to their plight. I read a Facebook page from Darrell Dillon that he was driving and a group of angry citizens saw his car with a government plate on it, rushing to the car, trying to pound on the car, because they are trying to see who they can vent their frustration and anger on. just to realize it was DeLong. And so they left him because they said, according to DeLong, those citizens said that, oh, you always talking for us, so we'll let you go. And one of them make a comment that, but if there any other person, we'll do what we can. The government does not like protest. This government hates protest. This government denounces protest. The government detests protest. The government worries about protest. So start doing things that will provoke your citizen to protest. This is a classical case in point. The citizen can now march into history and decide to protest. Who will you hold responsible? Are you going to blame the one on the opposition? The people at LPRC, the people at the Freeport, are they opposition people that are making a decision? Is this a decision from the opposition? They blundered, they mistake. Everything can be opposition. Somebody told me the government is a West nightmare. There's so much truth in it. Folks in cyberspace, this is a focus on Liberia. My name is Anthony C. hosting, and we are discussing the gasoline shortage in Monrovia or Liberia and its ripple effects on our people. It's been 2 weeks now, folks, that the shortage of gasoline has been causing serious problems for our people. Prices were already high in the country, thereby making life economically unbearable for our people. Today, the problem is even worse because the shortage of gasoline has crippled economic activities in the country. How will you get to Red Light? How will you get to Kema? How will you get to Monrovia? How will you get to Buchanan? You need a moving vehicle that's been powered by gasoline. If you are traveling, you want to go to the airport, how will you get there? You need a transportation vehicle, or you need a vehicle to transport you, and that vehicle cannot run without gasoline. How do you get there? This is a government, like I said earlier, that has already been struggling, raising revenue to fund its programs and activities, and gasoline that has been one of the major sources of revenue for this government to make it catastrophic, blunder denying it significant revenue. It is something I'm not sure if Liberian people are going to forgive this government. The videos that I've watched, the frustration that I listen to coming from our people, it's not good for our country. The government needs to act. Folks in cyberspace, I will be sharing the phone line here quickly. Let me see if I can get to the phone line. Again, we are discussing the gasoline shortage in Monrovia and its ripple effects on our people. Let me post a phone line down here. I'm posting a phone line and the phone lines are open. I will post the phone line here for you to make a call. The lines are open. I will open the line for about 15 minutes, or maybe 20 minutes or so. If you want to call in, you can call in and let me hear from you. What is your story? What have you heard? What have you seen? What are the consequences of this shortage? What are the ripple effects that you know? I know that the ripple effect is that government is being denied significant revenue. I know that businesses, some businesses will completely shut down. Some people will not open their doors. People are stranded in the streets. It has led to a significant increase in the prices of basic commodities, and the ripple effects are enormous. So if you are there in cyberspace and you are with us here, I focus on Liberia. The phone number is right there. We have a first caller on the line. Let's take this one quickly. Call out your name and where you're joining us from.
This is Aliyu Kamara calling from Maryland. How you doing, Anthony?
Mr. Kamara, I'm doing well, and welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Yeah, very good topic. You know, this is one of the things, some of the things that really sometimes can make me embarrassed of being on record for defending George Weah's government. These are some of the things that make some of us really regret why we even have to speak in defense of this government. I think this is very, very elementary. This is not a situation that should engulf any country that has a responsibly established government. We can understand if this crisis will last for 2 days or 3 days. But my frustration here, Anson, is that there is no gasoline shortage in the country.
Okay.
Now, for the gas to get into the hands of the consumer, that's the problem. So why is that so difficult for the gas to get into the hands of the consumer? So are you telling me, or are they telling me, this government telling me, the LPRC boss, that they have had no backup plan, no fallback plan in case situation like these arises, which they are very phenomenal. They are very normal that these things will happen. So the LPRC boss and all of the deputies just sit there and not think about what would happen, you know, during the time that the gas is flowing normally. They're not thinking around that time as to what will happen just in case things are not as normal as they are, what they can do immediately. They have no immediate plans. And this is sad. And this is sad. And this is why some of us who went to college, sometimes I tell people the college degree is not what we need to lead that country. It's just common sense. This has a complete common sense methodology. You know, the information I got was that they're using only one entry. They're using only one pump. So if you have hundreds of tankers that comes at the same time to get gasoline, some of those tankers go back empty. And here is one of the silly mistakes that they're making. The smaller gas stations, the privately owned gas stations, are not being served gas. So they are dealing with the larger, the corporations, and the corporations are not that many to serve the people. As a result, there is scarcity, there is demand. And the government itself is creating the artificial demand. This is what's frustrating some of us. I mean, it is too simple to say, you know what, since it's like this, we're going to have a government-owned tanker, and we're going to make sure that the government-owned tanker go to the average Liberian gas dealer, the one that do not sell more than 500 gallons. But like the total will come for 50,000 gallons, 60,000 gallons. And we're talking about several different stations around the country. By the time they finish collecting 50,000, 60,000 from tanker to tanker, the other guys who come in to collect 500 gallons for their little tankers cannot get the gasoline. And those are the people that the community dwellers depend on to get their gasoline. I'm very surprised that this government, that I understand our president, George Weah, doesn't like talking, which I understand because we're all different, but I cannot believe that during situations like these, he will not step up to the plate. At this point in time, the president is supposed to be moving in a 1 or 2 car convoy, making sure that the people responsible for this thing are working. And even suspension for me, I would suspend or fire the LPRC managing director if the power was in my hand. But thank you so much for having me, my brother.
Thank you, as always, for your contribution here and Focus on Liberia. So, folks, as you can see, the ripple effects of this shortage, that actually there is no shortage. It's just a matter of people not knowing, paraphrasing him, what to do and how to do it best that is causing this problem. From what I'm hearing from him is the idea, or it's just the idea of how to carry on the distribution. He just explained that the government is focusing on the major distributors, the major distributors having to be few. And so in essence, he is suggesting that the government need to prioritize the small distributors or the smaller distributors. So those are the small gas stations, people who are in the communities, they have it in few little gallons, serving here and there. He said those are the people the government need to prioritize right now during the crisis. That way, in every community, people can be able to access the gasoline. But from what he's telling us, he's saying that the government is focusing on the major distributors, like maybe Total. I'm not there, so I don't know all the gas stations that you have there. I think that is the point he's making. And he said, this mistake here is silly. In his words, he didn't miss the words. And he even said that, those of them who defend the government, it's so hard doing it. And I can feel his pain, because apparently he has seen the video. He saw his fellow citizens, struggling and stranded in the streets and crying in days, and they can't get gasoline. They can't even move about freely. And like he said, he would think that the president will at least suspend somebody or fire somebody at most. But that has not happened. So let's talk about some of the ripple effects on the process of basic commodities. Let's look at the issue of soft drink. Maybe soft drink is not important. I will talk about rice earlier. The analysis here is on an Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, a can of soft drink was $100. And during that time, a gallon of gasoline was $350. That was before this gasoline shortage. Some people say it's an artificial shortage. Now, under President Weah, the $100 can of soft drink jumped to $200. That was before this shortage could come about. And now that we have a shortage, what do you think the price of a can of soft drink is going to be? I don't think my boys in Nicrutan will want to drink soft drink anymore, because it's more about a cup of rice now. Because I tell you, a cup of rice on Ellen Johnson Sirleaf at some point was around $25. When President Weah took over, at some point it went to $40, $45, $50, and sometimes $60. And gasoline is what people or business people rely on to transport their products. And so when the price for a gallon of gasoline double under President Weah from $350 to $750, a cup of rice jumped from $25 to $50. That was a double. And now you have a gasoline selling price at this time to $1,850 if you find it. Think about it. Only when you find it, then you pay $1,850. It has tripled. How much you think the price for a cup of rice is going to be now? How much do you think? Folks in cyberspace, this is focused on Liberia. My name is Anthony Sie. 15 minutes from now, we will be coming on again on our scheduled show for today. This broadcast was prompted by this shortage of gasoline in our country. And as a major network, we saw the need to come on air to talk about the shortage of gasoline and the ripple effects that it's having on our people in the country, and the lack of leadership so far from our leaders. Our leaders continue to fail to hold individuals who cause this problem accountable. And so the problem persists. And the government is not communicating to the people. A responsible government will have, if possible, daily press conferences. Daily press conferences until the situation can be brought under control. Informing the citizens, steps they are taking, progress that have been made, and also informing them when they think this situation is going to come under control. No, they don't care about how the people feel. Does it look like they feel? Or they know how the people feel? I think, in my opinion, if they knew how the people were feeling, they would be able to inform them on a daily basis through press conferences. Progress they've been made, I mean, that they are making, and what are the breakthroughs that they are having. But they are mute. And so the people are left alone, strangulated, wandering all over the place, and they don't know what to do. So 15 minutes from now, we'll come back. Our scheduled program for today is on the topic is the opposition, CPP, any viable alternative for Liberia. I know the pressure has been on the government. The opposition too wants to be in power. They want to see this government out so that they can come in. From what we see from them, can we trust them? Does the opposition present any viable alternative in your opinion? We have somebody to discuss that topic with me, and will be coming on in 15 minutes. That will be probably by 7 p.m. That will be 7 p.m. Eastern time. So watch out for that show. While we try to conclude this broadcast, let me see if I can read some of your comments. Let me see if I can read some of your comments quickly here. Marie Kwade writes, it's good for them. Marie, who are you talking about? Are you talking about Liberian people that voted for President Georgia? Are you saying it's good for them? They are suffering. They are your brothers and sisters. For them to have voted for this government, it was because somehow they trusted the government. The government needed now to prove itself. But so far, the government is having serious challenges for which the people continue to struggle. So you can't blame the people. I mean, to some extent, you can't blame them. They trusted this government, that the government will be able to deliver for them. So let's wait and see. Maybe they have some time on their hands to turn it around. That now you know, good for you. I don't know what she's talking about. Apparently, she was talking about Aliyu who called. Color, that is a poor excuse. The president goes to churches and talk, but when it comes to crisis, then he turns to Bobo. See, that person is making a case right there that the president, he knows how to talk, disagreeing with our caller who said that the president is not good at talking. But the person is saying the president does. He knows how to talk. He goes to churches and expresses himself. All right. But again, very good. We are for life. We are for life. We are for life. We are for life. I think she's being very sarcastic there. Marie Pada there making her comment known here. Liberia is getting better. Marie Pada again. It will be fine. Marie Pada again. Keep your comment coming. Those are the few comments we have so far. If you posted your comment earlier and maybe I did not see, I did not read it, next time we will try to read your comments. Folks in cyberspace, again, this is focused on Liberia. My name is Anthony C. Hosting, and we have been discussing the gasoline shortage in Liberia and its ripple effects on our people. And so, folks, this is how we will come to the end of our broadcast. As I said earlier, in the next 15 minutes, we will be coming back on air live. This time, we are shining the light on the opposition. The opposition wants to also lead our country. Does the opposition represent any viable alternative? Will the opposition now be like what we have? Will they not give up more of the same? Will that opposition be that change? We always want change. The people of Liberia have always voted for change. And any time the people of Liberia did, they never got that change. So is the case today. Liberians voted for change. The CDC then campaigned on the mantra of change. And so the Liberian people have believed in and entrusted the CDC with power. Today, I'm not sure if they are feeling that change. Maybe that change is coming, but I'm not sure they're feeling it right now. The opposition is preaching change. The opposition is preaching alternative. And so when we resume our broadcast in the next 15 minutes, we will be bringing the opposition under the spotlight. Is the opposition even united? Do they have their candidates? Do they have their candidates? Yes, we have an election. Anyway, let me not let the cat out of the bag. That will do it for this broadcast. Thank you for following Focus on Liberia. Here at Focus on Liberia, we educate, we elevate, and we promote all things Liberia. We are nothing but a media institution that tries to bring you nothing but the truth. This will do it for us, and thank you for watching. Bye-bye.